Hello and welcome to all you TLBT viewers. My name is Lorena Hoops, and you have joined us for another episode of Write the World, where we talk to all different types of authors and writers. We bring you wonderful books to read, and we answer lots of questions about writing so you can decide, is this really what you want to do? Maybe you're just looking to hone your craft. Maybe you're deciding to dabble in this daunting, sometimes daunting, mostly fun experience. And so we'll have lots of answers to those questions for you. And today I have a very special guest. Today I have Reina, who writes under R.M. James. How are you doing today, Reina?
Hello, doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. I'm super excited to have you on because you're a fellow romance writer. And I've interviewed lots of people. Very few are romance writers, which is odd because it's like the #1 genre out there. But I'm super excited to get to share some like romance stuff with you.
Great, great.
So tell me
Happy to be here.
Tell me about your first book. What was the first book that you wrote?
That one was Love's Second Chance. That
Okay.
was a contemporary romance book where it's just two teenagers. They were destined to be together for forever, so to speak. And somehow, as they've grown older, they've grown apart. She ran off with someone else, thinking that the guy never wanted her because there would be so much lag in between, and because they still lived under parents' rule at that age. So they were both 16 and 17. So there was a time where it would be 4 months he wouldn't talk to her, 8 months. So she was like, well, he doesn't want me. So she went with somebody else, and she got pregnant with that other man.
Oh no.
So yes, it's drama right there. It's drama. And then she come to find out, yes, the guy did love her, but now she's with someone else. And then now they're like, she didn't find that out until 22 years later.
Oh my goodness. So we pick up the story a couple of decades down the road.
Exactly. It was my first dabble at romance, but with a little spice to it.
Did you find it hard to write the spice?
It was like, okay, should I or shouldn't I? Because me myself, I like reading spicy books because they're interesting. Because I'm like a visual. Okay, I'm reading, but I'm visualing how these characters. So I'm like, okay, I would like to do something like that too. And I did, and it was received by my family like had mixed reviews by them. Why are you writing such spicy stuff?
I think that's what my family would say if I wrote spicy too. They'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
But I loved what you said before about these characters going through that what if I had ended up with this guy? Because I think, even for those of us who are happy where we are, I think we always kind of think back to those early relationships, the ones we had in high school or college. We're like, man, what if I had ended up with this guy? Or what if I were still seeing this girl? Like, how would my life be different? And I really liked that aspect that you talked about with your book.
Yes, there's that what if factor, and she kept thinking about him until she decided to look for him, and eventually she did find him. And yes, they kind of once they found each other, they wanted to do the what ifs also. So and they kind of did the what ifs and find out that okay. Both are married, but the thing is, both characters are married to other people.
Oh dear.
So yes.
That makes it complicated.
Yes. Very complicated. But it's very interesting because it's, you wanted to do the what ifs, but but you guys are married.
Right.
What are you gonna do now? That's that
Yeah.
thought right there. Is this right or is this wrong? You know, is it worth it?
That's a really good thought right there. And I won't make you spoil it. It sounds like we should definitely read it to find out what happens between them. But
Oh yeah, it's very interesting to say the least.
it
Very.
sounds like a good little spicy book that you could curl up with.
Yes. Yeah, I had one reader tell me she was like, "Oh my gosh, I felt like I was reading a diary." That's what she told me.
That's
She
good
put
though.
it, she had me like this. I'm like, "Oh my gosh," and all I could do was chuckle.
That's what I was going for. That's what I was going for. Yeah, I'm sort of
Yes.
on the opposite end of that spectrum. I write romance, but they don't have any spice. So I kind of tend to go for the more like Hallmark movie kind of, feel with my books. And it's real funny because the book I had picked up by a publisher, when they sent me my cover, my husband looked at it and I said, "What do you think of the cover?" And he goes, "Looks like a Hallmark movie." And I was like, "Good, that's what I wanted." And then, then I got a word back from the editor, and the editor said, "Hey, I don't see too many major problems. I'll get it back to you." She's like, "But I wanted to let you know that it reads like a Hallmark movie." And I was like, "Yes, that's exactly what I was going for."
You were going for it.
So it's nice when people pick that up, like you're going for that kind of in their head diary feel, and you want them to have that. So that's really cool when readers pick up on that and they realize, they're like, "Oh wow." I think that's what makes writing fun, is when people we don't know are able to see that part of our head that we're trying to get across.
Yeah, it's just like secret desire, you want to go for that. It's like, okay, we it's like this mentality when they were kids, you were going behind your parents' backs, so to
Uh-huh.
speak. And now you're going behind your spouse's back. And then we're like, okay, this is kind of different now.
Right. Yeah.
So
Because I don't know, it's one thing when you go behind your parents' back, because even though you're not supposed to, you're not really hurting anyone, you're just going against what your parents say, but your parents aren't really going to get hurt if you do it most of the time. But if you're going against a spouse's back, somebody's probably going to get hurt in this process. So that's a whole nother level
yes,
you have to think about.
exactly. And I'm an avid reader, romantic reader, and there's hardly any books out there that has that kind of, you know, okay, I'm going behind my spouse's back kind of story. And it was like, okay, but what if I did it? Let's see what kind of feedback I get. But so far, I mean, I've had, some people say it's good. It's a good book.
It's like that
I'm like,
guilty pleasure.
okay,
I don't I don't
yes.
I don't like the I don't like the situation, but I really like the book. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, exactly. It's like she's daring. I mean, how could she do that? How could he do that? The he she kind of thing, and it's just like you know, it, it was like that kind of an open ended type of thing. It was neither one of them said goodbye to the other.
Oh,
It was just like they walked away. I mean, it just like grown apart. So, and then come here 20 years later, then you kind of figured, okay, I think you have that thought, should I or shouldn't I?
mm-hmm.
Should I or shouldn't I? But now that I'm here, I don't want to have that what if factor come up again.
Right. Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
so true. Okay, now you told me before we started that you actually don't start with a title, or you didn't with these books. You wrote the book not really knowing what the title was going to be. So I'm curious, how did Love Second Journey come to you?
What do you mean, my second journey?
Oh, I'm sorry.
For my second.
No, the title of this book. Was it Love Second Chance or Love Second Journey?
No, Love Second Chance.
Love Second Chance. Sorry. So how did Love
Yes.
Second Chance come to you when you finished the book? Was it just you finished reading and then a light bulb went off and you're like, oh, this is the title of the book? Or was there something else?
It was like, okay, in the middle, towards the end, when they went ahead and went back to, you know, back to their lives, and it was like, was it really love's second chance? You know, did we really give this a chance? You know, so that's how I came up with that one,
That's
with the title of that book.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I tend to write the other way where I start with a title generally because it came from a story idea. But I was telling you before we started that I have a book I haven't been able to finish because I started with a title. And then every time I try to make a story work, it doesn't work with the title. It works with a different title. And so I've had to stop writing this book like 5 times because I can't make it work with the title. So maybe I should try your approach and just write the story and then wait for the title to come to me because that might be easier.
Yeah, and what's funny with me is that I just I just said, okay, I just wanted to write a book, but I sat in front of my computer and I'm like, okay, what should I write? And then all of a sudden something just a light bulb just came up and I just started with a blank page. I just started typing and there it was.
That's amazing. I love it when you get inspiration like that. It's not like that every day because there are some days I open it and I'm like, yeah, and I maybe, pound out 200, 300 words. But like last night, I started a brand new book and I realized I think I was writing for about an hour and I looked down and I was almost at 1,000 words and I was like, okay, that's a good start. So I love it when those times, when you get that inspiration and you're like, okay, now I know where I'm going. That's always a good thing.
Yes.
So let's talk about your second book because this one you said took you 4 years to write.
Yes, 4 years. It was a work in progress. It was a work in progress type novel. And it happens to be, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird with a paranormal romance about domestic violence.
Okay, you're gonna have to give me a little bit on that one because you're
Yes,
right.
it was about the, but I just didn't want to make it a sad, like sad kind of thing to it, a theme.
Right.
So this woman, okay, it was constant arguing, constant fighting. He was on her about buying, because she had this fetish about hobbies. She was into all those hobbies, and then she was a fashion freak. I mean, she had to have the upscale, clothes, the
Mm.
shoes, the makeup, and it was a constant buying. And the husband was like, "What are you doing? You have bills to take care of. You have this, you have that." And she's like, "They get paid. The bills get paid. I do more here, that you ever done in a day." I'm like, and she was like, and it's just constant battle. It was always, but the thing is that he was always. It's more of like a manipulative type of relationship. It was abusive, verbally, emotionally, and then she just got tired of it. She really did get tired of it, and she left in one heat of the moment. She went into her car and she sped, and then off on the ramp of a highway. It there was an accident there, and then it was the car flipped over several times, and
Oh
then
my.
that's where the story begins.
So
Because that's where it came in. The vampire came in, the stranger, the stranger in the night. She
yeah.
was there, was like, there she wrote.
So the
Because, I
paranormal
mean,
comes in with this vampire who comes across her then, is that right?
yeah, right after the accident. Yes. And that's how I got the idea, because my background is I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot, and I'm like, how am I going to write this? You know, but I want to do it in a different way, because I love paranormal stories. I love them. And a lot of them, they begin with teenagers,
Right.
you know, teen. And I want to do something different and have it, older people, somewhere in the 40s
Very
type
smart.
thing. It's interesting how that story, just unfolded,
I love it when
just
that
by
happens.
that. Yes, it was just and with me, and I was asked, how did you come up with these characters? I mean, it's just like they talk to me. They want, they want their stories told.
Yes. Yes.
So
It's so
they
true.
wanted their stories told, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it this way.
It's so
So
funny because people who don't write don't understand that. My husband is not a writer. He's not even really much of a reader. And when I started writing, I'd kind of been plotting at it for years and years and years, and I was never able to really finish a book. And when I finally finished the first one, I was like, I don't know if I have a second one. And then I wrote a second one, and then I wrote a third one. And he's like, you're always writing. And I was like, but now they're in my head. Like there's movies in my head, and I have to put them out because otherwise it keeps me up at night because I see this stuff going on in my head. And I don't think he gets it,
exactly.
but writers get it. You probably have the same type of movies in your head where you have,
Exactly. It's like I call it a caged monkey. It's like it grabs onto the bars and it's just shaking and shaking and shaking. Let me out. So
yes.
yes, it's a rattling monkey. I mean, it's a monkey in a rattling cage type of thing.
Okay, so what's the title of the second book?
This one is Firefly, Kayla's Gift.
Kayla's Gift.
That's
Okay,
the name.
fire. Now, is it going to be a series? Because you've got kind of a series type name with Firefly, and then like a subtitle. Are you planning to write more in this one?
Yes, I've got the second one, and I'm about 3/4 of a way done with it.
Nice.
And that one is interesting. That one has been, and I mean, it was really interesting to write.
But it
I'm
hasn't taken you
still,
4 years, right? This one, the one you're
no.
working on now, hasn't taken you 4 years. Why do you think the
Oh
first
no, I
one?
started it. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go
What
ahead.
was
You
that?
started it.
It was I started it just right after. No, I was working with it during the first book. I was trying to write two books at once,
Oh,
but
I've done that.
that one, the first one, took precedence, so it was halfway done. So I'm like, okay, let me start with this one. So now that I'm finished, now I'm 3/4 of a way done with this series.
That's awesome. So why do you think the first one took you so long to write? Was it blending the paranormal, or was it trying to do something different than what you have written before?
Well, it all started with okay, I got sick
Oh, that does.
and no rest. And it really, my life was turned upside down. It was literally turned upside down. And I have Meniere's disease, and I've got fibromyalgia. I had 6 back surgeries, and I had brain surgery, and I had all these surgeries, and it was okay. So it took me a
Wow.
very long time to pick myself up and get moving on it. So I
You
had to
have,
recover.
you have been through a lot.
Yes,
Now,
the way.
do you pull from those experiences that you've had in your life? Do they start to filter into your books?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And this one with the see, because I love shopping and I love doing crafts, and I do a lot of that stuff. So I kind of blend it into to that story, and this and the main character of Firefly, she she comes back from adversity. She also fought herself way back, back from despair. And what I'm trying to, to show my readers is that, yes, you can be down. Yes, you can be out. Yes, life hits you hard, but you got it in you, inside of you, to persevere, to push.
Yeah.
And I want to show that to my readers, that you can overcome adversity. You can. Because it took me a long time to get back to where I was, before, right after my brain surgery. It took me it took me a ways to get back.
I love that. I love that message, though. It's so important for everyone. And I think, I know your books aren't really for young readers, but I think even for, younger readers, to instill that, like, you are not defined by your circumstances or by what life gives you. You can still overcome things. Because I'm a teacher and I see a lot of kids who are like, oh, I'm not going to go to college because none of my family went to college. And I'm like, so what? I mean, that doesn't mean you can't go to college. And I think we, as just a nation, have some of that mentality of like, oh, well, now I'm stuck and I can't do anything. And so I really like that you're writing about overcoming adversity. I think that's a really powerful theme.
Yes, and that's why I want to show everyone that, yes, you can persevere and you can win.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can do what's in your heart. You can move forward.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your writing process. What's the easiest or the most fun part for you when it comes to writing books?
To writing books, I have to set my feng shui, my ambiance, my little area. I have to have at least either piano music or depending on what I'm going to write that day. Let's say if the mood is somber, sad songs, or if it's a fighting scene, heavy metal type rock thing. And of course, I have to have my muse with me, my cat, Bailey.
Nice.
She's always with me.
Always good to have a muse. That's wonderful. What about the hardest part? What's the hardest part of the process for you?
There'll be days that I just look at a blank page and I'm like, there's nothing there. I know I've got it all right, and there's nothing there. My brain cells are so tired that I just can't get myself moving, or where there's too many distractions. My cell phone goes off. I'm like, okay, sometimes I have to turn it face down so I won't look at it. So I have to schedule myself out, certain amount of hours in the morning or certain amount of hours in the afternoons, just to really zone and focus.
That's really smart. I don't typically have the distraction of the cell phone because with 3 small kids, I don't get to write until it's nighttime. And most people don't call me that late at night, but I have sort of that same, I can't even do music. I have to have it completely silent because that's what gets the juices flowing. And if I have the TV on, I get distracted. If I have music on, I get distracted. So it has to just be like super quiet so I can really be focused. But I still have those days where I'm staring at the white page going, where was I going with this? I don't remember what needs to come next. And those are the days that I really hate.
Oh, yes.
So I have to ask, are you a pantser or are you a plotter? Do you plot out where you're going with your book, or do you just sit down and write and it comes to you as you're writing?
I have to sit down, let's say, really, I'm not, I don't plan, I don't plot or anything like that. I just sit there and it's just, boom, it just comes to me. As I type, and that's when it comes.
Yeah, that's always nice. I have dabbled in both. I started as a pantser who just sat down and wrote. And then I started looking at planning, and there were some things about it that I really liked. And I was like, okay, I can kind of see the point of at least sort of having a scaffolding of where I think it's going to go. Because then when I get to those places where I'm like, I don't know quite where I'm going, I know what the next place that I want to get to is. And so I can kind of jump and then work back a little bit. But I definitely prefer when the words just flow, and then I'm like, okay, I don't have to plan much right now because everything's just coming and it's working, and those are good days.
Yes, that's the best for me to write, because I tried to plan out, it didn't work. It didn't work for me. I tried. So I just sit down and just let the words flow. Just let the characters talk to me. Just tell me where you want to go, how you want to talk to this person, if you want to pounce on them or you want to bite their necks off or what.
Do we have some of that in your books? Biting off people's necks?
No, only the bad guys, just the bad guys.
Yeah,
But
well,
there are fun. Some of these guys are funny though.
if they're bad guys, I guess we can deal with that.
Yeah, we gotta have some bad guys in there to make things interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, who's been one of your most memorable or your favorite characters to write?
I think it has to be um, the main character, Kane Westbrook. He
And which,
is debonair. He's a rich guy. He's the sweetest guy you ever think, but he is one of those type guys that has a demeanor about him. It's like when he walks into a room, it's like everything drops.
oh,
He's one of them dreamy guys, and he's one of them those guys that he's there to help you, he's there to be with you, but you cross him, he's like, no,
yeah.
I
You're
don't think so.
done.
Yes, that's the kind of guy he is.
Now, is
Yes,
he
very caring.
based off of someone
Huh?
that you know, or is he just totally from imagination?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, but it's gonna be funny though. I'm a wrestling fan.
Okay.
I'm a big I'm a big avid wrestling fan, and the guys that do come out, and it was, um, it was like how they come down. You know how the characters they play, the mean guy, the straight up guy,
Mhm.
the commanding type of guy. So there's some wrestlers there that the character like, I'll say, okay, I like this, I like the way he walks, his demeanor and everything like that. I'm gonna write something towards his respect.
Nice. Nice. My college roommate was
It's kind of awful.
no,
That's
no.
off the wall.
My college roommate was obsessed with wrestling, and it was back when The Rock was still wrestling, and she loved The Rock. So I know I've been there. She used to make me sit down like every Monday night, and she'd be like, "We have to watch wrestling." I'm like, "Really?" But yeah, so I totally get it. She had posters of The Rock in her room, and he would have been her, like dream guy at the time. So I can totally see that.
Mine is when I first started watching, it was like Ric Flair and all them guys, Dusty Rhodes, all those guys back in the day.
That
So yeah.
that's probably before I started watching because those names don't sound familiar. But
Oh my gosh, yeah, 1983 and all that. I mean, it was way back in the day. I think when it first started.
yeah,
Um, when I first started watching it was in the 80s. So it's been a long time since I've been, I'm a big wrestling fan.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we all have to get inspiration from somewhere, and I like to pull them from people I know. And so, you get them at least off of TV. Like I sometimes will be staring at people at my gym, and I'll be like, "Ooh, I really like the way that like this guy talks, or I really like the way this guy looks." And they're all like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just gathering research. Don't think I'm too weird." So at least you're doing it
I
with
like watching.
what's
Yeah,
that?
I like what I like watching is reality shows,
Yes.
because they come up with off the wall stuff.
Yes, there's probably a whole lot of good book ideas in reality shows.
Oh yeah, there was one. It was one reality show. I can't remember the title to it, but it was one guy with his family, and they were trying to run off wild hogs from the farmer's property. I got my ideas from there.
All right then. Yeah.
And Naked and Afraid too.
Awesome.
How they have to persevere also in hard elements.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my parents watch some of those, like out in Alaska in the middle of nowhere kind of shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool stuff.
Well, I want to
So,
thank
hey,
you so much for being a guest, Reina. It was so fun to talk to you. And for all of you viewers out there, I will make sure and get a list of Reina's links so that you can find her books. I'm assuming your books are on Amazon right now, currently, right?
yes, on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, on the online retails, and also on my website.
Awesome. So we'll get all those linked for you guys so that you can come and check out both her contemporary romance and her paranormal romance. And do you have any hint at when the next book in the series will be out in the Firefly series? Any idea?
Probably somewhere in the 2018.
Okay. So we'll have to wait a little
Maybe.
bit for it, but she's working hard on it. All right. Well, thank you again
Yes.
for coming on, Reina. It was so much fun to talk with you. And for all of you viewers out there, we'll see you again next week right here on Right the World.